like a stereotypical thing that people do, or I guess less people do now anymore. They've just kind of given up on it. And this could be just semantic, but I don't know. There's the word resolution I don't really like. There's something about it that just feels kind of negative. I like to think about things more as like, yeah, that is a good way to put it.
It is a very douchey word. Hey everyone, I'm Mike.
And I'm Andrew.
And we're the Midlife Guys. Before we start, happy 2026. Happy New Year. I hope that you all had a wonderful holiday season and that you're having a great start to the new year. Happy New Year, Andrew. Are you ready to start 2026?
Happy New Year to you too, Mike. Sure. I don't know if we have a choice, so we're just going to go with it and see how it goes. Hopefully it'll be a good year. I will say one of the things I'm trying to focus on more in 2026 is embracing gratitude a little bit more. And I wanted to just say thank you to everybody who tunes in, either watches or listens to us. I definitely appreciate it. It's nice to hear from folks who are listening or watching. And I guess we can pull the curtain back a little bit, because I don't know if we've ever talked about this in the past, Mike, but this was really your idea. Mike was kind of the driver of this idea of the podcast and kind of convinced me to come along for the ride. And thank you. I'm glad you did. It's been fun so far, and I'm excited to see where 2026 takes us.
Yes, thank you so much for taking the time to listen and for sharing your comments with us. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about goal setting, otherwise known as the New Year's resolution. Oh, how stereotypical or how of a topic, but we had to do it. We had to talk about this. Now, it should be no surprise that as we age, we are actually less likely to create New Year's resolutions. In fact, only 31% of midlifers actually make resolutions. That number declines to 24% for those aged 50 to 65 and 18% for anyone over 65. The younger you are, the more likely you are to make a resolution. 49% of those ages 18 to 29 make those resolutions.
You have more hope in your life, right?
Maybe.
You're less jaded as you're younger? I don't know.
No, why is it there's a decline? It's because no one actually wants to hold themselves accountable for their resolutions. That's the problem. No accountability as an adult. Oh. In fact, 87% of people that make New Year's resolutions actually abandon them by the end of January. And a whopping 56% of Americans say they don't make resolutions because they just don't like the idea of a New Year's resolution. Fair enough. This data came from Pew Research. And another study conducted, actually in the fall of 2025, shows that there has been a significant shift this year in the types of resolutions that are being made. So as you would probably guess, the top resolution from here to eternity probably has been focused on health and exercising more. This year, it's saving more money.
That's a good thing.
Americans feel incredibly pessimistic about the overall economy and want to save as much money as possible going into 2026 so that they have a nest egg in case something happens. So, Andrew.
Good news before you get into this. Good news for anybody who wants to do both. Eat less, you'll spend less money.
There you go. That's our first tip of the new year right there.
Mm-hmm. Andrew, what do you think about that? Eating less and saving
Eating
more
less
money.
and saving money are probably both very good things for most people. Yeah, it's funny, the saving money part, definitely resonate with that. It's actually something my wife and I talked about, one of our New Year's goals. So I feel very on trend as a midlifer and a millennial to be feeling the pressure to try to save some extra money for sure. I mean, I don't know, as you said, resolutions are sort of feel like a stereotypical thing that people do, or I guess less people do now anymore. They've just kind of given up on it. And this could be just semantic, but I don't know, there's the word resolution I don't really like. There's something about it that just feels kind of negative. I like to think about things more as like, Yeah, dude, that is a good way to put it. I
It
don't know
is
what
a it is a very
Yeah.
douchey word.
Just like, yeah, and like you're a failure if you don't hit your resolution. I don't know, which is also why. And I feel like people make them right around New Year's saying like, "Oh, we're gonna do all these great things," and like, yeah, 2 weeks in, they're like, "Yeah, no, that's not none of that's happening." Um, but I like to think about it in a different ways, more something you said at the very beginning, Mike, the idea of kind of goal setting. And I feel like this is sort of a transition that's happened more in midlife. So in the past couple of years, I've definitely focused more on the idea of setting myself kind of goals throughout the year. And for me too, which may come as a shock to some folks, I'm very like type A and structured, and I like things to be ordered in a very particular way. Um, so I think about it sort of in like categories or buckets. So, like, do I have a goal for work or a goal related to family, like a money goal, like saving money, or do I have a health goal, whatever it is? So that's been helpful for me to think about it as goals to hit throughout the year, kind of in different categories or buckets. And then also to think about them too as goals that happen throughout the year. I mean, I think those stats that you mentioned, a lot of them, especially people dropping their goals or resolutions early, are pretty well known. I think part of that's too is it feels sort of overwhelming if you think about it all at once and like, I want to do all these things. And it's kind of, you can almost be like paralyzed by sort of the overwhelming feeling of it all. Whereas what I've done recently is, again, more in kind of midlife, I guess I've come upon this epiphany of like breaking them out into different parts of the year. So for me, kind of like do it quarterly just because it's an easy way to kind of round things out. But, so like I have a goal like that I want to do in the first couple months, then a separate goal to try to do for the next couple months, and so on and so forth. And that's awfully made it feel way more manageable for me to like kind of organizing it that way. So I'm curious if you do that or if you set goals, but at least that's been helpful for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think there are a few things to unpack with all of this. The first is, given that health and well-being and exercise has always been at the top of the charts when it comes to a New Year's resolution, and you're almost setting yourself up for failure in January, because January is the most miserable fucking month of the
It
year.
is. That's
It's
true.
dark. It's freezing. And if
Yeah.
you're one of those nasty ass people that don't shower after going to the fucking gym, you're going to be cold as hell. If you haven't listened to that episode, our gym episode, go back and listen to that one. It's a fun one.
That's like number 2, maybe, or 3. That's an early one. It's good. Yeah.
I am very surprised that 56% of Americans don't like making New Year's resolutions. I know it's a gimmick. I know it's stereotypical. So I do hear and appreciate your point that goal setting is probably a better way to look at it. But I mean, it's still a New Year's resolution. Then you just put a fancy tag on it. But setting goals for yourself, especially in midlife, although setting goals for yourself at any age is really important.
Yeah.
I think it's very, very important because life just gets more fucking complicated as we grow older.
Yep.
Whether you're managing your health, whether you're trying to foster stronger relationships or taking care of your family. So I tried to do a little bit more digging into what this means, and I did find a lot of not great information about adults and holding themselves accountability. And when I say not great, it means that a lot of adults just don't want to hold themselves accountable for things. I was like, it's not great.
Like, do you think, real quick though, is that, I wonder, some of that at midlife, and I don't know the specific like information or stats. Do you think some of that's maybe because like we're held accountable at work all the time or with kids or other things that maybe when it comes to yourself, you're just like, don't want to pressure yourself or force yourself to do things? I kind of wonder what could be leading to that.
So actually, thank you for bringing that up. The majority of research that I found was about being held accountable in work, and that was the key one where adults didn't want to be held accountable is at work. And I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
Okay, well, forget my theory then.
I had to kind of abandon this because I was like, this is kind of terrifying. but I don't know. I don't have an
Yeah.
answer. I do find it really heartening that so many more people are prioritizing financial independence or financial well-being as we move into 2026. Things are tough, but that financial piece is incredibly important for your security. Um, it's it's important. So I hope more and more millennials prioritize that and achieve that in 2026. And good luck to them on that.
I mean, fingers crossed. Hopefully, we all can get there. Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no. I was about to say, you're making me talk about this too. One other thing about being in midlife that I feel like this is you're getting old now. Thing that I do that helps me with some of these goals too is I print them out and like leave them around the house so I see them all the time. I feel like that actually is helpful with the reinforcement, but I'm also like, yeah, that seems like something someone as they get older will do is like leave themselves like printed reminders of things. Does anyone else do that? Is that just me? I'd love to hear if other folks find that helpful.
Hey, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Another trend that I've run across in my research is something that surprised me, something called the Great Midlife Edit. This is where you start the new year by writing down all of the relationships, the mindsets, the roles, the identities that you have that no longer add meaning to your life. And then you discard of all of those things so that you can make room for the things that do add meaning to your life. The idea is that as we age, our priorities change. Of course they do. Our lives change. Yes. And we evolve. Of course. We have to take stock in those changes and make changes to our lives so that we can live a fulfilling second half of our life. Andrew, what do you think of this?
I got lots of thoughts on this. I've never heard of this before, so I'm just like, this sounds a little interesting. I'm curious, yeah, where did you see or find this from, or was it
Time Magazine
Oh,
actually
really?
did
Had
a
this?
big thing about this.
Okay, it's like a common thing that midlifers are doing now. Is this whole like, okay? I mean, one of my other initial thoughts was
Sounds like bullshit to me too.
One of the other things that like I just struck me as you were describing it, and maybe this is just hopefully not too depressing, is I hope when you make that list there's like a lot of stuff that does bring meaning and it's not just all like no meaning, and then like the other side of your list is like just small things, and like that doesn't sound great. Just like evaluate your life and like, oh, I don't like how this list is balanced. Yeah, as I said, I've never heard of this before. I think it's an interesting idea to try to like reflect on like what's meaningful in your life at various points. The thing I don't like about it, and what you had said sort of your question as well, is this idea of like discarding or throwing away things that maybe don't feel as meaningful anymore. The way I almost would think about it, and I might try this exercise just of thinking back of like people or things or roles or whatever throughout life that have been meaningful and maybe are less meaningful now just because we do evolve and change over time, is maybe looking at that and wondering like, are there people I should reconnect with that maybe I haven't talked to in a while that we used to be, really close friends or had an important role in the development of my life in one way, shape, or form. That might be kind of interesting to try to think about trying to rekindle, maybe at least the people side of things, some relationships or roles that may have fallen to the wayside. But yeah, I don't know how I feel about this whole like editing out your life. What do you think, Mike?
Great midlife edit. Yes. So I think it's an interesting idea in theory. The human brain is not a filing cabinet. We have the capacity to do a lot of great things. We don't need to just discard things. I wouldn't even know how to begin trying to like segment out all of these. Like one of the things was personality traits. Are you fucking kidding me? Okay.
They're all great. What do you mean? Nothing's wrong with this.
So, yeah, I mean, these relationships, these characteristics, many things shape our lives when we get to the point of being in midlife. And sometimes they're not healthy. Sometimes they're not great. But they still helped form who we are today. And so I think it's important to have learned from those mistakes, from those relationships, from whatever they may be, and not just discard them, because that doesn't make you you. We have the ability to think critically. We are a complex species, and so just embrace the things that may not have gone well in your past and what can go well in the future. Don't edit things out of your life. You can
Yeah.
change your priorities.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. I'd also say I'm thinking about editing in like a different way too now, and maybe it's not quite as deep as this make it sounds like, but I do think being in midlife, especially again if you have, it's true for everybody, but especially if you have kids too, it's like again you're in the thick of it, right? You're being pulled in a gazillion different directions at once. And I do think there is something to sitting down and thinking about like what adds value to your life, like what do you have to do, like that whether you like it or not, like your job maybe, especially if you don't be accountable for it, but you still got to do your job. Or there could be other things, maybe you got to volunteer at your kid's school because you have to or something, but like there are those things. But what are some of the things in your life maybe that don't add value or just add stress? And I think editing some of those out, like I think of a couple of roles where, you say yes to lots of things. I'm like, do I really need to be doing this? Like, do I need to be so involved in like my neighborhood association? Not sure if I do have to be as involved as I have been in the past. Or, do I need to volunteer for X number of things, especially if it's not something that, brings a lot of value um, or just doesn't add meaning to my life or doesn't make me feel, better about myself or that I'm contributing something. I do think those are probably things that are worth like taking some time, and maybe the beginning of the year is a good time to do that. Is just like kind of what things are we doing that we don't necessarily have to be doing, and we could give ourselves some time back to do something that we really want to do instead.
I also want to go back for a second because I know we're going to get fucking comments on this one. That research about not being held accountable in the workplace was for every adult over the age of 18. It wasn't just
Okay.
midlifers.
Not just millennials or Gen X.
Not just midlifers. So I'm going to put that one out there. Apparently nobody wants to be held accountable in their work when they're working.
We're all just done, I guess.
So we've been talking about a lot of about resolutions and goals. So it only seems fair that we should share our own goals for our lives in 2026. We want to hear from you too.
Yes, yeah.
Share your ideas. What are your goals for the new year? Hopefully they're amazing. Andrew?
Oh, I got to go
Do you
first?
want to kick us off?
Sure.
Yeah, man.
I think I was the one who suggested maybe doing this. And I think it's a good idea. I was a little nervous, but it could hold us accountable that we have to follow up. Maybe we can check in partway through the year and see how we're doing on some of our goals. As I mentioned earlier, so I kind of think about goals in different buckets, and there were a few that I've definitely like committed to doing. There are some others that kind of still working on, but some of the ones that I definitely going to try to do for 2026. So hopefully folks can help keep me focused and accountable on these things. So one is, we mentioned it at the top, and my wife and I talked about trying to save more money. So our goal is to save somewhere between 5 or 10% more in savings in 2026 than we did in 2025. It's a good goal. With 2 kids, though, we'll see how that works. I feel like we always have plans for saving, and then something pops up. But
Especially
that's okay.
because everything is getting more expensive.
Everything is getting more expensive, yes. But we're going to try. That's the focus right now is just setting the goal for ourselves and seeing if we can do it. So that was one. Another one I want to try to do in the first half of the year is complete a 10K. So I used to do 10Ks pretty frequently. And then this is also a throwback to one of our early episodes where we talked about why it sucks getting old. And one of the things I shared was having to go through a whole PT thing because I was having a hip issue because I feel like I'm a gazillion years old now. But hip is back to normal. I feel like I'm in good shape. So I want to do a 10K. That's another goal I have for the first part of this year before it gets crazy hot in Virginia. Another goal I have is something I've been good on the past I want to get back to is reading a book every month. So I like to alternate between fiction and nonfiction, different types of books, but I want to try to make sure I'm doing at least a book a month, which I think is realistic. And then the final thing is another one, which my wife and I did a couple years ago, and we just need to get kind of focused back on it, is doing at least once a month kid-free date night, some sort of adult only type of thing. That's like addition to we'll take weekend trips or we do family stuff, but we definitely want to have at least a date night once a month, which seems pretty realistic to do. So those are some of the goals that I've got for this year. So fingers crossed that can make them work.
Freeman, have you already started making your 2026?
First of all, Andrew, that is way too many things.
There's too many things. That's 4 things. That doesn't seem terrible, right?
But all of them are monthly recurrences. Anyway, whatever.
No,
you
two of them are monthly recurrences. One. Raven's like, I will do one thing one time and I'm done.
I do the Niagara Falls 10K. If you want to drive on up to Niagara Falls, Canada, we can run along the Horseshoe Falls together. It's a good.
Oh, there you go.
One. I don't go in for the resolutions. I'm not really that kind of guy. I have a newborn third kid coming in February. My resolution is to keep it alive. That's all. If I do that, I think I'm okay.
Spoken like a true parent. That's a good resolution, though. That's an important one.
Survive.
Survive. Yes. How about you, Mike? You've got to share yours now.
I do. So I've got, I also kind of divide my goals up. One of them is more of a professional goal. I think, as we mentioned in the very first episode, Andrew is also my business partner, and we are undertaking an expansion of our company, and I want to get that moving and done, finalized, all those legal documents finalized in the first quarter of 2026. I've also got some personal goals, which are more, I guess you could divide them in like intellectual personal goals. This past fall, I started taking both Dutch and Papiamentu lessons, and my goal for 2026 is to get to the 200 level of those languages by the end of 2026. From a health perspective, in 2024, I was doing a very good job of going to the gym every single day, and I had made incredibly good progress in terms of my health and my physique, et cetera, et cetera. That shit just did not happen in 2025 for a number of different reasons. So I want to get back to where I was at the end of 2024, which I think is very possible. And I just want to be more present for friends and family this year. So those are my big things. I have a couple of others. I haven't figured out exactly how that's all going to pan out. But that's it. That's it. So everybody can hold us accountable.
Well, I'd love to hear what, as Mike said in the beginning, too, what other people are thinking about or some of the goals you're all trying to set for yourselves.
Yeah.
Definitely let us know.
Please share them in your comments.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you're good with your language goal, Mike, maybe you can do part of one episode in Dutch or something. It's very phlegmy, right? Or like back of your throat. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Goedemorgen. And with that, I would like to thank everyone for joining us. Tell your friends to subscribe and leave any comments or feedback. And until next week, good luck, guys.
See ya.